Okay, we should be going live. And we are live. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Welcome to another Jedi Academy, our Q&A show for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Glad to have you here, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, midsummer eve, whatever it may be, wherever you are out there in TV land, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Ranger J 1999. From the RSG crew, glad to have you guys here. Also joining me, helping me host the show is, of course, Dr. Finn, Medicine Woman, the troll extraordinaire. Good morning, Dr. Finn.
Good morning.
Yes, it is another Saturday morning. It is time to do your Star Wars Galaxy Heroes questions for our wonderful panel, and we are glad to have you guys aboard as we do this every Saturday morning, where we bring the best and the brightest of content creators and YouTubers together, and then we sprinkle in a little bit of madness that is RSG. That being said, we've got an awesome panel for you guys, so let's go ahead and introduce the panel. We've got, of course, representing the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, somewhere on the road, heading to work. We've got Warrior from Warrior Presents.
Rocky Mountain High.
Colorado.
Wow.
What's happening, you guys?
Uh,
the reason why I'm not a professional singer.
That's true. That's true. But you have other talents, Warrior. That's okay.
That's what I always tell myself, and that's what my mama tells me.
That's science. Also joining us, who can't sing worth a crap either, is representing the Carolinas here in the U.S. We got good old Maurice.
Hello.
You stand corrected.
No, I was affirmed there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to speak clearly the rest of the day now.
Yeah, it's like, what happened, good old Maurice? Well, I see what had happened was I tried to sing. It was all downhill from there. And then also joining us from the great Canadian wilderness, somewhere up there in Canada, eating some maple syrup, doing whatever she does out there in nature. We've got the pirate captain herself, T Money G.
Good morning. I'm currently broadcasting from the top of the cedar tree this morning.
That's right. Well, it's probably a great signal because those are some big damn trees up there.
It is. I nested here last night.
Yes, right. Is that before or after you got some Starbucks coffee?
Well, you know, weed is legal here now, right? So
2 minutes like, let me get some coffee and
I don't smoke it, but you can make weed jokes too. I'm sorry, it's not starting off well. Take it away from me, please.
No, that's fine. Get your coffee, get your croissants, get your breakfast sandwiches, your cereals, whatever it is you need to get yourself going, and we will start this show off right. Now, welcome everybody in the chat. I see everybody in there. Now, the way the Jedi Academy works is we have our wonderful panel, and the way it works is if you have a question for our esteemed colleagues, all you need to do is put your questions into the chat. Make sure you put question in front of your statement. We use Nightbot to collect your questions. So when you ask a question, make sure you have the word question in front of your statement. That way we can scoop it up and get that out to our panel. If you have one for specific for one of the panel, let us know. But that's kind of how it works. Now, if you don't do that, then we're going to miss it. So don't be angry at us if you didn't put the word question in front of your statement. We'll miss it, most likely. So help us, help you, help us, help you. Make sure you give us a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. We do a lot of cool stuff like this on RSG. And, of course, we'll allow the wonderful guests to pimp all their stuff at the end of the show so you can support these guys as well. So that's what we kind of do. While we're getting the questions in, again, I can't even talk this morning. What is going on? A few things going on this week in the game. We got the new clone reworks. We got some other stuff going on. We always like to go around to the panel and let them know, and let them talk about what's on their mind about the game. We'll start with you, Warrior. Warrior, what's on your mind about the game?
Well, the game has me thinking. And it has me thinking that I can't wait for Disney Plus to come out so I can watch The Mandalorian, and the new Ewan McGregor special that's coming out. Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I'm pretty excited about the future content of the game in relevance to the content that's coming out on Disney Plus. Whether people think they're going to mess it up or not is another story.
Well, yeah.
I do feel, I will give my 2 cents on that. I do feel like they're not going to mess up the Mandalorian, and this is why. It doesn't exist. So there's no story that needs to be told that is already known. And honestly, even if it was, you look at Han Solo, the movie Solo, they did a decent job with that. I actually really enjoyed that show. It's where they mess up is where they take things unnecessarily to areas they don't need to take it, or they don't deliver what we kind of already expected. That's where fans get kind of upset because we're like, well, we know how it's going to end. It's going to end like this, and then they don't. And they're like, well, we're just going to do it this way just to be political. And it's like, okay, now you've lost a bunch of fans. So if they take the Mandalorian and they just do it solid, they're not going to upset anybody. We're all going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun. They just have to, from what I understand, it's themed kind of after, the Western style movies. And so if they do that, I think they're going to hit a home run. It looks absolutely amazing. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then Ewan McGregor coming back, that's, we know his story. As long as they deliver something similar to what they did in Han Solo, where they kind of answer the things we already know in the storyline and stuff with General Kenobi, they can take some little bit of liberties, but they've also got to hit certain points. If they do those certain points, they'll be just fun.
Yes, I agree. Plus, we got the new Clone Works season coming. Clone Works. Clone season 7.
No,
yeah.
We see it, but I'm excited because that was a really good series actually, and so I'm excited for them to revisit the series. And the biggest thing, and I'm excited to see what we get in the game from all of this, because this is a lot of really cool stuff coming out. And just watching the newest Mandalorian trailer yesterday, there is so much potential of new stuff available to come into the game that I'm just excited to see what they decide to pull out of those, shows.
Yeah, I am excited too. All right, Gil Marines, what's on your mind about the game or just in general?
The clones are cool.
They're a little bit.
I'm very happy they changed Echo's basic, because that would have broken the game. That would have been insane. They changed it and they changed it right back. I am glad they kept Echo's basic kind of the same. Rex would have become the best character in the entire game if they didn't. So that's good. Need some Zetas. Need lots and lots of Zetas now. So trying to decide do I really need to save one for Wat? Do I really need to save one for Wat?
For who?
No, but man, is it tempting to pull the trigger.
What did you say?
Instantly on these clones.
Yeah, they're pretty badass now. I was very happy with the reworks. Good lord, they made them pretty nasty. And we still got probably more on the way. We got probably some Jedi reworks on the way. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm excited.
We definitely have a clone coming or a rework. I mean, just for the simple fact that crit damage up doesn't exist. So I mean, it's coming.
And there's only 4 of them right now.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
T Money, what's on your mind?
Well, I don't have enough clones. That's really the number one thing. Trying to calm myself before Grand Arena Championships start. Tell myself that I don't need to have, all Gear 12 clones. This is not something that I will, I've been planning to not have Gear 12 clones for a long time, but man, they're sure making it tempting. These are really, really neat reworks. They look like so much fun, and all of Rex's animations are so cool. So they're so beautiful. Yeah, so I don't know. It's exciting. I know my guild is crazy excited. We were planning for TW yesterday, and they all just ditched. Hello, guys. They're like,
everyone played the game? No.
Yeah.
I got Zetas. Get some Zetas.
All these videos. It's very good. So yeah.
There you go. All right. With that, let us begin. So get your questions in, guys, and make sure you get them in sooner rather than later. We do have a cutoff point that we will stop collecting questions. So if you have a question for our esteemed panel, make sure you get those questions in now, because at a certain point we will cut off questions. So just letting you know that ahead of time. All right, Dr. Finn, are you ready to rock and roll?
Maybe.
Maybe you want to ask one of the guys a question?
which one should I ask?
Well, all right. Let's start with the first one, and we'll go to Warrior, and then we'll just work our way around.
All right. So first question for Warrior from Deadpool Kyle, and his question is: do you think the clones will be getting a General Anakin as their leader, since they seem to be missing something, or potentially another Jedi Knight Anakin rework?
That makes more sense than anything I've heard up to this point. And I've been saying that I thought we were going to get some iteration of Anakin because they said they're building some sort of a Malik style event, and it's centric around the new light side Geo TB that's going to be over the next 60 to 90 days. So it would really need to be something pretty intense. And with the clone reworks being like kind of the first real light side look at like what they want to do with the characters, that would make complete sense for the newest, like whatever they want to call it, like the uber hyper ultra rare event. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they come out with new names for every event because they're like, well, this one's even more hyper rare than the last one. Yeah, and then they bring it out 4 months later. Oh, sorry, it was just normally a legendary, but we're gonna call it. But no, I'm hoping it's something very cool like that. I don't know what characters they would use for that. I mean, probably the Tuskens, and the Jawas, maybe just the Tuskens. You know, and they'll bring out like three new Tuskens that are required.
No,
and then they'll be like, yeah, that's probably what they're gonna do. But no, that's a really cool theory. I like it. I mean, obviously, we're all just guessing, shooting, blank. You know, we don't really know. So, but I do think we're going to get some iteration of Anakin. I do think it will be a Malik style event, and I do think it'll be for light side. So what you're suggesting lines up perfectly with my own personal thoughts. So
there you go. All right, next question for good old Maurice.
All right, so good old Maurice, question from Elias Lund, and the question is: how do I beat a fully Gear 13 and Zeta team of Darth Revan, Fallen Bastila, HK-47, Malik, and Geo Brood Alpha? I am currently using Darth Revan, Fallen Bastila, HK, Malik, and Sith Trooper, and always find myself stuck behind a taunt.
Well, we tried the other night on one of our streams. We did try one of the Grievous suicide teams against that team. It does not work very well. so that's out. Trying to think, maybe if you could run some sort of Jedi Knight Anakin or Jedi Knight Revan counter and bring yourself an extra dispel, maybe perhaps you got Bastilas. There are some other Jedi like maybe Ezra. That lasted for about 2 days on my short. I think Marauder is probably better than Sith Trooper.
He's the
if
key.
You have him for that specific team. Yeah, that's not really a team I've come across too frequently. You could. I don't think the Grandmaster Yoda trick with the 4 sides up is going to do much good there.
No.
So
it's Marauder. He wrecks that crap.
You could. I mean, I haven't tried it, but Thrawn's Fracture could kind of help you get by the taunts as well. I don't know if that'd be a great suggestion, but yeah, unfortunately, I haven't faced too many of those, bud.
I have. You need Marauder. I'm beating it, but that's just because my team outspeeds them and I get the advantage. But I've seen some people in my sharp are like, what the what the hell is this? And the one guy that has a really ridiculous Marauder is like, yeah, I just one-shot the hell out of those guys. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, you could, if that Brood Alpha or the Brute is determined off the stats of Brood Alpha, not like the gear level, perhaps a couple of those specials from Marauder will sink his health pool low enough to where that Brute's not really, a threat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's still a pain in the ass team. All right. Next question for the lovely Pirate Captain Team Money. Arr. Wait. Our Captain T, your son, less like a pirate and more like something else.
That was too adult for Porg McFadden.
Porg McFadden.
Oops, sorry.
You gave him the special feelings there, Team Money. Porg McFadden's like, I don't have these feelings. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I had to turn him around.
Okay.
Okay. Question from Epic Fails: is Django any better now with the Separatist tag and update?
Oh gracious, yes. Oh, gracious. He's incredible. It's so exciting. Django is so exciting. Like it's one of those characters that when it's introduced to the game, you better really understand kits because he's going to show up in so many ways in your grand arena that if you don't understand teams, you're going to be, you know, taking a screenshot and toting it back to your guild to ask them to help you figure it out. You know, Grievous under Django under Grievous, Django under Newt, you know, under Dooku. Like there's so many different ways that you can use him in there. I mean, he's definitely like the new Nest of our games. Very, very exciting. Yeah, super exciting rework. The question kind of goes to what's going to happen to the rest of the bounty hunters. Django led, you know, Bosk, Dengar, Boba. Nest is really a cornerstone of a lot of, you know, players who are 4.5, you know, and above GP for their grand arena. You know, you can clock that team. You can put like massive speed on that team and it will beat Traya, you know, if you're using Traya on offense against it, and it's a really good team. So yeah, so what do you do, right? What do you do with that team now? I guess you go Bosk lead. Wat Tambor and Bosk are fantastic together, but yeah, kind of remains to be seen. There's a lot of shifting kind of sub meta right now, and that's the most exciting one to me is the Django piece.
I'll throw this out there, and I'll kind of open it up to everyone really quick as a follow up to that. So Django automatically gets his payout under Separatist lead now. Does this make it more likely that we will see the event Mace Windu, the one that basically can auto kill Django in any battle, as a rework for him?
That would just be cruel. You know, they better wait at least a week or two before they bring that in. It's like, oh, we made this shiny new Django. Oh, and by the way, here's your mace finally. Ba-boom. Yeah. I think they gotta wait a little while for that. But yeah, because that overtook his damage immunity, right? Like mace, it just didn't matter. Mace got him anyway. In the bonuses, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to cut off his head no matter what. All right. Next question back up top to Warrior.
All right. So Warrior, question from Sith Lord 72. He says, with the addition of relics, if this is yet another paywall piece, at what point as a whale do you stop paying for this stuff?
You stopped paying for it a while ago. Honestly, it's not if it's another paywall. It is unequivocally another paywall. They don't do anything unless there's a financial benefit for them, which, for the record, I'm okay with them doing things that create a financial benefit for them. The only problem is I like to have things that have a perceived virtual benefit for me. So I have to see the benefit for me to want to spend. And currently with the relics, because we don't actually have them in the game to take a look at and play with and enjoy all of that yet, I don't feel the benefit that I think that they're hoping for. You know, it's cool. I love that they're listening to the community, because the community, well, there was a guy who put on Reddit like, hey, make Gear 13, you know, red is for bad and blue is for good, like, you know, you have in the past kind of thing, but like have it glow that color. And they did that. They like literally took his suggestion for whether they're dark side or light side for Gear 13, and they're going to implement that. And then Arnold suggested in private chat that they make it glow, and they've submitted that to developer team to see if they can actually make it like glow. I think that's great that they're listening and they're trying to tweak it in a way that makes us happy, but that doesn't make them money. None of that makes them money. Listening to us and making those tweaks doesn't make anyone money. So they got to make money. But this is the deal. Like, if they say, give me your hard-earned cash, but I'm going to give you this really cool package of awesome things you need, then I say, I think that looks good. Buy. Right? But when they say, we're going to invent something that is Gear 2.0, that's going to have 13 tiers to it, because guarantee it's going to. It's going to have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and the first, you know, Gear 1, you're going to dump in a bunch of trash gear. Gear 2, you're going to have to dump in, like, you know, It's going to say like, you have to dump in, 1,000 of the Mark II pieces, of any Mark II pieces, and you'll put those in, and the next one will be, you've got to have 1,000 Mark IV pieces. Well, so the first character you go into, you're gonna be like, this is fun. I've got an unlimited supply of this gear, and you're gonna go waste all your gear into this, and you're gonna get them to like, the relic to like level 7, and then it's gonna die off, and you won't have any more gear that you're willing to spend to get higher. Then you're gonna go to the next guy, and it's the same thing. And then what they're gonna do is they're gonna start to sell packs of gear that we've been complaining about for 3 years, and we're gonna spend money on gear packs for gear that we don't need, so we can get relics up that we don't really want to have to level up. This does none of that. To me, sounds like fun. Just to unlock an ability on a character that if I don't, I will be left behind, and I will be basically no longer competitive potentially. And if I do it, I'll maintain my competitiveness. It's like cutting someone's foot off and then making them eat it. It's terrible. The whole thing is absolutely terrible.
I'm absolutely with you on this.
I mean, honestly, this is how I feel as a very large Kraken in the game. It has not been difficult to not want and desire to spend money lately. And trust me, I gotta pay for account. I know what it's like to spend money. I have a large account. I know what it's like. I'm happy to do it, but make me feel good about it. I don't know. There's no happy ending here.
The big guilds are still spending tons of money. We spend, but you guys are way, way ahead of us with Gear 13. Way, way. I mean, do you actually think it's slowed? I don't know, but I would.
So yeah, it absolutely.
You guys are more dominant than ever. It's more pay.
Yeah, 100%. It has slowed, and this is why. 90% of their income comes from the top 20 guilds. 90% of their income, and if you look at their income sheets, they've been on a steady decline for the last 6 months. They're still making decent money. Don't get me wrong. There's, like you said, there's still lots of people spending lots of money. So it's not unhealthy, but it's not as healthy. It's kind of like somebody in their mid 40s who's gained 40 pounds and kind of looks a little chubby, but he doesn't got heart disease yet. He looks all right, but he's not, he's kind of in the wrong direction, and maybe, in another 20 years he might have a heart attack. It's kind of like that. They're kind of going the wrong direction, you know what I mean? So they got to start working out. They got to start figuring out what it is they got to do to make this a healthy environment for us in spending. For example, if they had a pack where it was $19.99, you could buy it up to 3 times, or shoot, make it $33.33. I don't even care. Get your $100 out of us. That's fine. But make it $33, and in that package, you have, 3 pieces of Gear 12, 3 pieces of Gear 10, and 3 pieces of Gear 8. And you're in their company's mind, they're like, my God, we're giving this away. But that's okay, because what are you trying to do? This is terrible, by the way. They don't listen to me, which is actually a good thing, because what they're doing is they're creating this value, and throwing 3 million credits. Who cares? It's virtual. And then now all of a sudden, everyone, including the person who's free to play, who never spends money, all of a sudden sees a value and goes, maybe I will do that too. And they don't make it an exclusivity thing. Plus, it seems like a bigger value for the whole community, so it doesn't hurt as bad. You should never want someone to feel bad after they spend money. You want them to feel good about that purchase. You want them to feel like they bought a good digital currency value. But this game has built this whole community around making us forced purchase things we don't want to have to buy to keep up with things we don't want to necessarily have to keep up with because we don't want to get left behind. And every time we do it, we feel like dirty people, and we're having to wash our hands of it. People are making free-to-play pledges and talking about I'm not spending anymore. It's that's a terrible community. I've been in other gaming communities where everyone feels good about their spending. They're like, I'm really, really happy with it. I got 1,000 dragons out of that last pack. That's amazing. And they're like, wow, that's awesome. And it's just, I don't know. People feel good about it. The packs should encourage us to spend money because that's the whole point of them having a game, is for them to make money and live off of this, right? That's fine. And they can even make millions. That's fine. But let's make a value to where when people are buying, they feel better about it. Plus, you open up the doorway for other people. I've told them for years, like, you don't have a $4.99 starter pack other than like the old ass stupid pack. Like, you need to have a $4.99 pack that gives you a fully unlocked character. Like, boom, like, you know, and then when they buy that pack, then the next pack is a $9.99 Phoenix character, fully 7-star. And they're like, well, we could get so much more money out of them if we didn't give it to them. Yeah, but you're getting 3% to buy your packs. If you did the $9.99 pack, you would get 50% penetration on that pack, and you'd make more money by $2 million on that pack alone. Like, they don't get basic economics. They're doing fear tactic spending and not like proper marketing.
I don't know. I think the game has been going on for a long time. I don't know. Whenever we kind of criticize their financials, I don't know. Like, I think they know, and I don't say this in a negative way because this is their job. I think they know how to manipulate purchasing. I don't think they work off of the fact that this game is based off gambling. It's not, you know, you're not going to shop in Walmart. You're spinning a roulette wheel every time you go and buy a crystal pack. And it's not, you know, they do string us along. They're converting free to play players, 1, 2, 3 years in to pay to play. I don't know.
I would have to disagree.
My point is, I don't think that we have to feel good about our purchases. I don't think that that's a necessary thing for gaming companies to make money. I think the necessary thing is to keep coming back.
Polarium has multiple games. It's a almost $1 trillion entity. They have packs that make you're good with your purchases, and those packs slowly go up over the years. They actually get people to go from not a non-spender to a spender in a very pleasant way, which is not, I'm not saying that it's necessarily a good thing for people who have addiction problems with this, but I've never felt bad about those purchases. Even other EA games where they have more control, the newest game, the Command & Conquer, it's not even that strong of an IP right now, and people feel good about the purchases they're doing in that game. For everyone that's playing it that I'm talking about, they're like, the game's actually better than I thought, and I don't mind spending some money. They're enjoying that because of the methodology. It's just the methodology and psychology behind their packs and stuff. It's the wrong psychological motivators that they're using, in my opinion, that are working because it's Star Wars, and that's why it's working. I think if we changed the IP in this situation, this game would have been dead 2 years ago. That's my opinion.
I agree. I think we're very driven because we're Star Wars fans, but I think that's part of it, right? Like, that's part of their approach. So I don't necessarily think that they would be making more money a different way, I guess is my point. I'm looking at I don't know. You guys have a lot of Gear 13. We have 800 Gear 13 in our guild, and you guys have 1,700. That's like more than double. And if you can imagine how much it costs to Gear 13 one character, and the majority of our guys are pay to play, like, I don't know. It's a lot of money.
I think there's another aspect to it too that I'm curious about, which is there is the fear tactics that they use in order to market this, and they definitely do that. I'm wondering if part of that is because they are so small and restricted that their release of new content is so slow that if you're one of the top whales and stuff, getting 900 crystals a day plus whatever you get from your dailies in Galactic War, that makes it really easy to start saving up crystals and not even have to spend on some of the new stuff that they release every now and then. And so it makes it so that you're not spending on all the new content. You have to buy those specific packs and stuff with gear. And if those aren't worth it, then you do start closing your wallet a little bit.
I just don't know if people are closing their wallets, because what I know that we used to be very, very competitive with the top 5 guilds, and we're just not anymore. Like, the Gear 13 just took you guys so far away from us. We could overcome the 6 dot, we could overcome the strategy, but the Gear 13, it's just, facing someone with, twice as many 6 dot mods as you and twice as many Gear 13s, it's just, you gotta be a miracle worker. It's just more. My point is we're more pay to play than we have ever been in this game.
Yeah, I think Warrior's point about the fear tactics. I think the problem with the fear purchasing, right, is that when the game is good, it doesn't matter. But when things go bad and people had to buy stuff that they necessarily didn't want to buy out of fear, that's when you get the animosity that you see sometimes in the community. Like, what the hell? That kind of mentality.
But do they care? Like, do they care if we're mad, or do we just keep spending? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's interesting. Well, we don't have all the information, so it'd be interesting to see the dynamic, right? And, if we could ever really see all the information and break it down, it'd be kind of cool. All right. Real quick, we have 150 people watching us and 31 thumbs up. Can we get some more thumbs up love out there in TV land for the show? We very much appreciate it. So, all right. I have lost who we're on. The next question.
We just went to Warriors.
Okay, so we'll go to Good Old Maurice. He's been very quiet.
That's what the whole point of this is.
I've been quiet because I've actually been secretly crying.
He's crying.
I'm crying because Warrior's analogy of a mid-40-year-old with soon to have heart disease struck home with good old gum.
I'm like, is my camera on?
At Bojangles this morning, I will have a banana. Thank you, Warrior, for saving my life.
Be careful going too far, though. The next thing you know, Warrior's diet for you is going to be to cut off your foot and eat it. All right.
Good old
next one from Andrew Crooks.
Have you guys seen the memes that are going around?
No.
Sandwich memes.
Yep.
Going around with sandwiches in it. That's freaking hilarious.
There's a foot in the sandwich. It says, try the new SWGOH burger.
Yep. That sounds about right.
It's in our memes channel in our Discord. Apropos just posted it. It's a foot in a burger and it just says, try the new SWGOH burger.
God.
Guys are awesome. All right. So good old Murray's question from Andrew Cruikshank. He says, is it time to make make sure that 501st and Shaak Ti are farmed? What are your guesses on the new eminent meta? I just popped into the top 15 arena as a free-to-play. Ever since CLS, that has always meant 100% of the time that a new meta was coming within a month. Always like clockwork.
Well, I mean, if you just crack the top 50, you do not need Shaak Ti. You don't need Shaak Ti. I don't even know if Shaak Ti is going to be a part of this team. There's 4 501st with a 5th eminent with the crit damage up mechanic and Cody's kit. We're getting a 5th. So I'm not sure Shaak Ti is even going to make this team, which is odd. But seeing as I have a pretty decked out Shaak Ti, I took her to Gear 13 a couple days ago. I don't think she's mandatory for. She might be mandatory for light side TB, but I don't think she's going to be mandatory for the arena meta, especially if you can't get her. If you don't have a set to make her at least 310, then you probably don't need her. She's a very, very long farm. Make sure you get your B1 done, your Scion, and your Nest. I'd probably do all 3 of those characters before I worried about Shaak Ti. I don't know if it's going to change the meta. There's definitely some mechanics. The train's going crazy. There are definitely some mechanics in this kit with Rex's, semi-annihilate. You've got Echo Zeta that can do max health damage if the character evades, i.e., Basilisk Zeta and any leader that she's with, usually Darth Revan. So you can do big max health damage with Echo with that Zeta. I would I would make sure you've got your Geos, your Geonotions, baby steps. Get your dark side Geo TB stuff done. Make sure you can get your guild watch shards, and then maybe start focusing on the light side characters. There's no point in stopping your current goal of completing Geo TB to work on something that's not even out yet. So, if you got the clones all Gear 12, perhaps. If you don't, I would I would probably skip Shaak Ti.
All right. Next question for Captain T.
All right. So this one's let's see. Skywalker Vader question for clone teams: can GK fit in the team?
Yeah, I've been working on kind of different comps for that. The problem is I had a really great team working in Arena. It was actually Jedi Master Adastra's with Jedi Knight Revan lead, Anakin, Jolie, Hermit Yoda, and did I say GK? GK was in there anyway. Point being that you had to try and create a Padme team without General Kenobi, which is okay for the majority of time, but he just brings so much to that squad with the cleanse, with the retribution, and that's a key part of fighting teams like Grievous. So the problem isn't so much, putting Kenobi into that squad. He's so great with the bonuses that he gives, giving fives taunt. Like fives would probably constantly be taunting. So there's tons of benefits to it. It's more, what do you do with Padme, assuming that she's kind of key to taking down strong Grievous teams. And really, you can't dilute a Padme team right now when you're going against a full Gear 13 General Grievous team, especially with a Zeta Newt Gunray in there. It's super challenging. We've been able to face some of these, big, the big TIs, and it's just like, in total awe of when they've, been all tiddly and they've modeled them just so. It's, it's very challenging with Jedi Knight Revan or with Padme. So moving General Kenobi out of that team is the problem there, not so much as he would be fantastic as a clone leader or as support for those guys.
All right. Round and round we go. Back up top to Warrior.
All right. Question for you, Warrior, from Apropos Wooin. Question is, when splitting Jedi for Padme and Jedi Knight Revan teams, what is the best way?
It's kind of funny you say that. I was just thinking about that this morning on my Scissorman account because a Padme team fell into my frickin' free-to-play account without me trying. Just so happened to go on Geos because I like Geos for ships and farm them on the side, no big deal. All of a sudden it's like, oh, they get reworked, they got Brood Alpha, and now I got a 6-star Padme. So kind of cool. I'm looking at the team, and what I went with on my free-to-play account, we can talk about the pay-to-play later, but I have Padme, Gear 10, which is dope. Yay. Ahsoka, Gear 10, Jedi Knight Anakin, Gear 11, and then General Kenobi. Those are the 4 core that really should be together, in my opinion, especially for a free-to-play account or like a Dolphin account. You're not going to need to get a whole lot of creativity. You need synergy. So General Kenobi, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Padme. Those are the 4. The 5th can be, if you don't have a ton of characters, it can be 5s. It could be Yoda. It could be R2-D2. If your team, for me, my team is a Gear 10. Mostly, I've got 2 Gear 10s, 2 Gear 11s, so it's kind of, I don't know, it's not gear heavy on my free-to-play account. I don't have like all Gear 12 everything, so I'm probably going to put R2-D2 as the 5th, and then it doesn't pull anything from my Revan team, which uses Grandmaster Yoda. He's really the one that bites. He's the one that does all the damage. And if you pull Yoda, especially for most teams, you pull Yoda from Revan, if you're using Revan on offense or defense, and you pull Yoda, you're pulling your teeth. You're putting dentures on that team, even with other characters. So there's, I don't know, Revan's great. Don't take away his teeth. So I would leave Yoda with your team. And of course, the kind of the triumvirate of that is Revan, Bastila, and Jolie, those 3. And then you just need 2 more. And so if you have Yoda on there, there's your 4th, and then your 5th can be anything. If you're taking General Kenobi to put with the Galactic Republic, then you could use like Old Ben, even if he's like Gear 9 or 10, and put him with, which is what I'm going to do, put Old Ben with that team. So that's what I would do. On my main account, I got a lot more creativity because I've got a lot more options that are available. So I actually use Padme, Ahsoka, General Kenobi, and Yoda. Those are kind of my 4 core. Anakin goes off with Jedi Knight Revan. So I kind of flip-flop Yoda and Anakin because those 2 guys are mad damage dealers. They can kind of flip-flop. And then for a 5th, you can use lots of different people, such as Hermit Yoda or whatever for Revan. For the Galactic Republic, the 5th can be a lot of different comps as well. Again, it could be R2D2, it could be Shock T, because Shock T has the Dispel on basic. So I do enjoy, though, Shock T leading the clones. I've used that as defense since she's come out. And as long as you get her really fast, the clones prior to rework were a great solid defense for me. People struggled. They'd see it and go, clones suck, and then they'd take in the team and not clear it, and then have to go in 2 or 3 more times to finish it. So for me, it was one of the few joyous teams I had on defense that were underestimated. So I'm curious to see how they do now, but hopefully that answers your question.
All right. Next question to Carolina's finest, GOM.
All right. So question for you, good old Maurice. We have 2 questions that are basically the same thing, so I'll just ask you both of them. Nicholas Thompson asks, what order do you think the Zetas need to be applied with the clones? And Travis Anderson says, what do you guys think the Zeta priorities for the clones are? Was thinking Domino Squad first on Echo, and then Fives, then Rex, because he may not be the leader. So what are your thoughts on the Zeta order of clones?
Well, I think Echoes is kind of a wait and see. We're get that last character. If they become a great defensive team, who knows? Jedi Knight Revan could be just the hard counter to them. If you put that Echo Zeta on, that could maybe help a team out. I would wait on the Echo just to kind of see where they're going with this team, what it beats, what beats it. But I would definitely do, me personally, I'm going to do Rex's unique first, and then I'm going to do the new 5 Zeta first. So those are the 2 I'm going to do first. I think Rex's, it doesn't look that sexy on paper, but you're talking about 5s who, if you reduce his cooldown every turn he takes, he's going to be doing his assist move every other turn, and then he's going to have the option to taunt every other turn. So he can constantly be taunting, just in his I can't think of the name of the ability. The new unique is also, it's pretty cool. So, yes, Rex is squishy. Rex is the character that's going to essentially annihilate one of your teams. So you want to take him out first, but you can't because 5s has that Zeta. And if you kill 5s, then all of a sudden you have a Rex with 80,000 health and 400 speed. So it's it's going to be, I think that 5 Zeta will put your opponents in some interesting spots. You have to kill 5s first, but if you just sit there and pick on 5s all match, especially under Shock T lead, who he's countering, he can double tap. He's getting all sorts of health and protection regeneration. I think that Zeta is very good. The old 5's unique would probably be 3rd. I'm not sure I'm going to do that one yet. That one might take me some time. So I would wait on Echo and do Rex's unique and 5's new one.
All right. Next question for Canada, Team Money G.
Okay. So next question is from Ziglet, and the question is, Dooku is my last major missing Separatist Zeta. Is it worth doing, or should I switch to clones?
Switch to clones. I don't know. Dooku is fantastic now. He is an incredible character. I don't have my Seps finished. I'm lacking the Newt lead Zeta, which is sad. But the Dooku Zeta for me would come after that. Certainly, it would probably be. I would need the Newt lead. I would need the Django unique. I already have his lead. Unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to be fantastic anymore. And so I think that the clones are going to be a real staple for the game. They basically said right in there, Arnold did a video that, clones are great at taking down droids, so this is going to be a Grievous counter for us. That is a very limiting counter right now. Again, we've had lots of conversations with people. It's like, oh, my EP can take down Traya, or my EP can take down Grievous. My Traya can take down Grievous. It's like, well, maybe a mixed squad they can, but when you run up against someone who loves their Separatist droids in Grand Arena, then you come talk to me because they're a very challenging squad. So I think that clones will definitely challenge that kind of sub meta, and to me anyway, as a PvP focused player, that's very, very important. I think that the Dooku Zeta is more of a luxury than anything. And I don't know, for me, I have 70 something Zetas now, and that one's not on my radar. Depends, though. If you love Separatists, maybe that's something that you want to do to complete your collection. But I don't think that it's an essential Zeta for PvP. The 5's Zeta will definitely be, all of it's just they've turned into a really amazing faction. People have been calling Rex's special and his Annihilate now. I mean, we've got another Darth Nihilus in the game. I think that's hands down something that we all have to pay attention to.
All right. Back up top to the mountain with Warrior.
All right. So, question for Warrior from Maz Kanada. And the question is, are the Droidica or Magna Guard Zetas necessary?
I don't have either one of them on my main account, so I would say no.
All right. Any particular reason you don't think they are?
I think there's a lot of Zetas that fall under what we would call luxury Zetas. Luxury Zetas are Zetas that are non-essential, but the only reason you do them is because you're just like a fanatic for that particular faction. There are a couple of key Zetas that for certain teams, it's just kind of the team doesn't function without them. Like, for example, Revan and Darth Revan, they need the 3 Zetas for the Revan and Darth Revan. I mean, if he's missing one of his Zetas, he's just not as good and doesn't function in mirror matches properly. But my General Grievous, even in a mirror match with out those Zetas, does just fine. So it's one of those things. Those are luxury Zetas. If you're like in love with General Grievous's team, then you'll probably be putting those on just because. But they're absolutely not what I would call vital.
All right. Next question for good old Maurice.
Okay, so good old Marie's question from Darth Scion 1972, and the question is, our guild does a great job in phases 1 through 3. I'm in Geo TB. Any suggestions for tips on completing phase 4 combat missions?
Well, I mean, it's tough. Gear 13. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't sugarcoat it. It's a hard phase. So there's no
it's a hard phase, but they're really go through your roster and take note of all the characters that do tenacity down and try to split them up between all your teams. That way you can actually land some debuffs. And get those stuns, slow down the opposing team, because tenacity is just ridiculous. Like, there's no point in modding really any of your characters for potency unless you can just get it, to pretty much unreachable levels. So, you really need that tenacity down. And even then, the debuffs don't seem to stick 100% of the time. But that's, I guess, if you guys are really hardcore, there are tools, I think, that can help you with platoons. Really make sure that your weaker Darth Revans are the ones coughing up the Sith Empire for your platoons. And make sure you keep the stronger teams to actually battle, because I have a very strong, I think they're all Gear 13 now, and still my Darth Revan team P4 is iffy for 4-4. It's a very, very tough phase. I would just completely avoid that Dooku mission in the middle. Like, if you have Separatists, I would suggest using those Separatists for other missions. If you guys don't have the Gear 13 Dookus and the Gear 13 Separatists, I would maybe use your Grievous team for one of the regular combat missions, because you're just going to take your Gear 12 characters into that Dooku mission and just get destroyed. So maybe consider doing that mission last, kind of direct people to other combat missions with their strong Separatists.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're like, forget that crap right now. Let's just get as much GP as possible.
Yeah, we just block it off. And if the 3 people in the guild that have all Gear 13 Separatists want to give it a crack, by all means, but the other 47 of us have no business being in that mission. So, it's not so much the team comps, it's the gear in the mods. It's a gear and mod check is what P4 is.
And it's a GP check, too, because you need so much ridiculous GP to be able to deploy. Even beating the missions, you need a ton of GP to 3-star any of those zones. So it's a little daunting.
It's a long-term game mode. There are very, very few guilds that are doing well in that. I would say probably 5. Probably 5 or 6 guilds in the entire game are doing well in P4. So if you're not in one of those guilds, don't be ashamed, embarrassed, upset. You're with 99.8% of the entire player base that can't do squat in that phase. So just keep plugging away in your characters.
Can I add one point?
No.
Yes, I'm gonna.
Okay.
The very
Pirate
first.
team be taken over.
We kind of like toyed with it the first war, didn't do it, did it the second war, and we're happy with it. And I just talked with a guild that was 220 million GP. They didn't platoon any Houndstooth this last war, and they were very, very close to 3-starring ships. So I think that's you know, I can pretty confidently say that that's a very that's a pretty good option for guilds. Is just ignore Houndstooth. Anything that has, basically you don't do ships platoons, right? Like we've toyed with doing like, let's leave 1 open, let's leave 2 open. But this little guild was they just didn't do any, and they were very, very close to 3-starring it. So and then after that, it's so much GP. We basically let people go and say, go practice the Dooku mission so that 15 million GP from now we can try and get an extra star.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I like how you just referred to a 220 million guild as a little guild.
Sorry.
I noticed that too.
But 20
How's the air up there?
That's why we're partners in crime. Keep it real.
Go race with the cross check. Keep.
That's right.
This little guild of mine, she's gonna let it shine, let it shine.
Something else I can say as a baby guild of 210 million.
Yeah, you're like you just came out of the womb.
So one thing that's interesting about Phase 4, right? You really don't need to even do platoons, to be honest. What we found so far in our Geo TB, and we did a few like test runs, our score has always been better when we just straight up skipped platoons and didn't put anything in Malak and Revan, because we couldn't fill the ships. The ships have a direct impact on the combat phases in Phase 4, the Phase 3 ships, with the core ship bonus, because it gives the speed that you need in order for your team to go first. If they're not fully maxed out and with like crazy health and protection, what happens is that they all go first and they basically wipe out most of your team in the first round, and you can't even get through the first wave. The only team we've really had success with is Darth Revan, who can get at least 1 wave done. Occasionally, a Traya can get it done, but that's pretty much it. And so there was no reason for us to even waste the Revan on the platoons based on when we are, because we can't fill the ships. So not being able to get 6 of 6 in ships has also been something we've been looking at, because that speed bonus that you get from that is critical on those combat missions. So your tackling of Phase 4 combat missions, I think, also depends on your guild and what you're able to fill, and making sure you know what you're sacrificing in terms of waves, whether it's in ships and combat missions, and what you're gaining from it. So,
all right. Next question to TMG.
All right. So T Money, question from Christina Benson, and she asks, who should I farm first in fleets? B1, Shakti, or Nest?
Oh, I have to see your roster for this. You can post an RSG if you want me to take a look, but I would say that, of those 3 characters, I can say it this way: if I had to throw one of those 3 characters out of my roster, Nest would be staying. She is so flexible. She will, she turns the bounty hunters into a squad that, if you don't know what you're doing, you need Traya against. So, she's she's in that class with Wat Tambor, with Thrawn, with all of the kind of plug and play forever meta that we have in this game. So she's an essential character in any roster. Now, if you have all the separatist droids and your B1 is 4 stars, then maybe you want to push for that first, if that's your only squad or something like that, if there's some unusual circumstance. But I would say that Nest is and she's also so essential to have at Gear 12 with all of the pieces, because she gets so much additional health and survivability with all of those 5 pieces at Gear 12. She was the only character that I immediately put the Zeta on, and I got her to Gear 12 probably maybe after my arena team at the time, but she came very soon after, and she got more Gear 12 pieces than any of my arena team did, just because they're so important to her. And I put her on defense now typically, but back in the day she was the one woman destructo team. So she deserves it.
She does deserve it. All right, let's see. We got 190 people watching us. Can we get some more thumbs love action? Hit the like button there, folks, if you're enjoying the content and what we're doing.
That sounds dirty.
I know. I was gonna.
That's why I said it.
Something inappropriate, and I stopped myself.
Oh, get out of here with inappropriate. T-Money, I know you're not trying to tell me though inappropriate. Get out of here. Oh lordy! All right, back up top we go with our friend Warrior.
All right. Jedi Gunny 1216 asks, "Do the clones get modded differently now with their reworks?" And then he asked about the Zeta order itself. You can comment on that, Warrior, too. I know we covered that. He said he just slapped Fives' unique Zeta on him already.
Yeah, I just put Zetas on Fives, too, so that's awesome. Yeah, the modding is going to be similar. I mean, in the past, it was like, offense, crit chance, or crit chance, crit damage kind of thing, and it's all for damage. And I actually think you're going to keep it basically the same, and certain key characters need to be fast. The only thing that I noticed, at least from first glance, because I haven't had a chance to really test them, is Rex has an ability on cooldown that does bonus damage equal to extra turns that are taken by his team, and so you would want him to be the slowest on the team, and then they all take turns, and then the next time they take turns, it ramps this thing up, and then he hits on his special for like 500,000. So it's pretty cool, because it's like Annihilate used to be 100,000 damage, and we were like, ooh, now we're hitting for like 200,000 AOE's that do 1 million damage, or 600,000 from one shot, because power creep is real. But I think that we're going to keep everything basically the same. I think Rex on that team probably should be the slowest, but that doesn't mean slow. That just means the slowest turn meter wise. So the other guys are going to have 100 plus speed, and he's going to have 80 speed or 90 speed. So that way it gives him the maximum capability of increasing that. Plus his lead, they didn't actually damage in the reworks, which we were afraid they were going to do. So from what I read, it looks like all that's basically intact. So I would just make him slightly slower than the rest. But other than that, I mean, this is going to be one heck of a damage-dealing team, so you're going to want to crank stuff up. On Echo, he's pretty much always going to crit, and he's going to do bonus damage and stuff. The bonus damage is based off of not really his damage, but you will want to crank his offense up. So for him specific, I would go offense, crit chance. And then for the others, you could probably just stick with crit chance, crit damage, if that's what you have already on them.
All right. Next question to good old Maurice.
All right. So good old Maurice, question from What Else 73. Now that Rex has a new, better clone team, what will our Rex Wampa teams be composed of?
Nothing. They're not existent. Stop using them. They don't work at high GP. That's terrible.
There you go.
But Wampa can go in a multitude of teams.
Rex doesn't work at high GP. Wampa works at high GP.
Oh, Rex Wampa hasn't worked for me in a long, long time. But Wampa, you can put Wampa anywhere. A lot of people put him on Karth. I think if you mod your Wampa, similar, but a little differently, but kind of a very high tenacity build, he's much more flexible. You can put him on teams like Karth. You can put him on EP. You can put him just kind of as a fifth plugin for a variety of teams. He doesn't have any, faction tags. So you can put him wherever you want. I'm trying to think. I don't even know how I'm going to use him, to be honest. Like you can put him with Karth, Ordo, Mission, Zalbar, and Wampa, and you've got yourself probably a B plusish counter to Night Sisters. If you come across weaker Night Sisters, you can take them out with that team. That's where I've been using them. I've been keeping Karth on offense because always good for a defense is getting one shot. so I just started keeping him. I don't know. Do you guys have any suggestions on how you're using Wampa? Like a good place for him now? I mean, I don't really know, to be honest.
For fun, I'll use him on the Ewok team, and Like if I'm facing like a first order or something like that, I'm like, oh, Ewoks and Wampa, go have fun. I mean, they just destroy that team. God, I mean, Ewoks can do it on their own, but I think if you have like Gear 11 Ewoks and you throw a Gear 12 Wampa in there, he really would go rawful stomping some teams with the Ewoks. All those calls and assists and stuff, he just gets he starts wrecking. I mean, you already mentioned. I mean, I've used Wampa in a Traya team before. Versus Night Sisters, I've tested that out. As a 5th. Just for some extra damage and stuff. I mean, he's one of those plug and play players you can use in different areas if you're not going to use him for solo.
Okay, we gotta make a clarification here because I have actually looked this up. Our Wampa is a she.
You don't know that?
Because she does not have horns.
What if they're androgynous, T-Money?
They're not. You can go look it up. There's a thing called Star Wars lore, Ranger.
T-Money, I'm not going to just put a sex on somebody.
There, aren't you?
Yeah, T-Money, we don't know.
Well, but it is true. It is, so you can confidently say it's not like something that you're like, pandering. No, it's a female because she doesn't have horns.
There you go. That's science, people. Our Wampa is female because she's not horny. There you go. Sorry, I have to contribute to the. But there are horns. There's 2 horns on our Wampa. I'm looking at them right now.
Is there?
In your face.
No.
Let that Wampa hang.
There's 2 horns on my Wampa.
Are you telling the truth?
I'm looking at them.
There are.
There's actually 4 horns, I think. There's like 2 coming in the front and 2 going into the back, like small.
Wampa's a boy. That like decreases the amount of female characters we have in this game by like 25% or something.
Worst conversation ever.
Okay.
That made my day, actually.
Yeah.
It did, because I have on him about that all the time, so damn.
That's why I was trying to go with the whole androgyny angle. Like, it could be whatever they want it to be. All right. Next.
I don't know how we're coming back from that.
Well, let's see. Let's go back to T-Money.
Let's give T-Money a question.
Yeah. See what happens.
You know what? I'm going to jump to a fun question because I feel like we have to jump to a fun question.
Because I'm angry? Is that why?
It's actually more of a statement from Sword of the Jedi. He says, wow, I didn't realize that our 195 million guild was a starter guild. I'm
downhill today.
All right. So Jason Kralik asks, are the clones one of the top 5 teams in the game now?
I'm not sure. I mean, that remains to be seen. I think that, the creativity of the players needs about a week to really tease out the strongest combinations of a faction rework, added tunes, that sort of thing. So I think that it's a wait and see. I mean, we've got Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan, Traya, General Grievous. These are really, really strong teams. I don't know exactly where the clones fit in there. They probably, they're probably pretty close. Night Sisters, Bugs. A lot of these teams have very can't completely challenge the multiple metas, and I think the clones have potential to do that. Certainly, a lot of the kit talk. A lot of stuff within the kit talks directly to taking down Jedi Knight Revan with evasion, eating away at health, that sort of thing. That's going to be a big problem if Yoda's on the team. So I think that we'll wait and see a week, but I'm planning personally on investing in clones, and I have them. My Echo was level 72 yesterday. So yeah. But I think they're a really good investment. Those Zetas are amazing. 5 Zeta, Echo Zeta, they're, with the health, eating away at health is, those are pretty neat new Zetas that we've gotten.
Okay. back up top to our man with the plan, Warrior.
All right. So, Warrior, question from What Else 73 says, people are talking about a General Skywalker as a possibility, but in reality, the current Anakin we have is already a general, isn't he? Even Eth Koth is technically a general?
No, I don't know. All I know is the current Anakin is good, decent, solid, B-level character. He's not a legendary character. I do like the fact that he's old, so his gear was easy to get to gear 11 on my free-to-play account, though. So there's that. Yeah, if you're asking like more technical, specific questions, I don't think the iteration we have fall under that.
No.
Well, Ranger, you want to talk that? Then I'll give a different.
Well, yeah. I mean, by the time of where this version of Anakin in the game is, he is General Skywalker. I mean, he had been through the entire Clone Wars at this point. Will they come out? I don't know if they'll go with like a version from the Clone Wars with the armor like Kenobi has, General Kenobi, where they give us a version like that's in Battlefront where you can get the version of Anakin. Because in Battlefront 2, you can get Anakin as he is in Episode 3. You can get General Skywalker with the armor that Kenobi wears, except it's the black armor that he wears on top of his Jedi Knight robes. So, I mean, the beginning of the Clone Wars, it was Padawan Anakin. I think he was a commander. Then he rose up through the ranks. Eventually became General Skywalker. It just depends on what they want to call it and what they want to name it. I mean, there's CG's done that before. So, I mean, they could, but I don't know what kind of skill sets that they would use that he doesn't currently have. I mean, it's going to be a younger version of the Anakin we have in the game right now. So, what do you do with his abilities that are currently there? I mean, you can change it up and make it different, but people are like, oh, it's a different Anakin, you know, that kind of thing. So, but you could do it, and it should be okay. But it'll be shorter hair Anakin with the armor would be the version probably that they would come out that's like in Battlefront.
All right. So, Warrior, I'll give you this question from Azriel ANZGC. And his question is, actually, sorry, that one was for good old Marie, so I'll get that to him. Sorry, this one. John Davies. I just got a 7-star Thrawn. Other than Empire, what are good teams to put him in?
Every single team on the planet.
Pretty much.
He's the most plug-and-play character in the game to date, still, to this day. You can take him and literally put him as your 5th, anywhere, anytime, and he makes the team infinitely better instantly. So, I mean, if you have a CLS, a Han Solo, a Chewie, an R2-D2, and you don't really have anything else, you have no tank or anything good, throw him in there. You know, if you've got an Empire team, make him lead, or don't make him lead. If you've got Imperial troopers, but you're missing a 5th trooper or a tank, throw him in there. He makes them even better. It doesn't really matter what you put him with. I mean, I see people running him with Revan, you know, in arena really fast. So they can, you know, take out Darth Revan teams or other Revan teams. He is an anomaly. He's a character where they didn't have to break the game to make an overpowered character super viable, super, you know, usable, but not, you know, it's like, I don't know, like now they're like, well, Rex isn't, you know, let's make him popular again. What should we do? Well, let's give him a jetpack. That's cool, but that's not enough against, you know, Darth Revan. Well, why don't we just have him hit for $500,000? That should do it, right? I mean, it's like the creativity's gone a little bit at times when it comes to how to handle the teams. But see, he stands the test of time. He came out. He's not overpowered. He doesn't shoot for a ton. He doesn't hit for a ton when he does his kicks. His animations are solid. He just puts another character on timeout. That's awesome. And in the meantime, while they're on timeout, he can continue to gain turn meter and continue to counter. And he has height tenacity, so that way he's less likely to be, you know, dazed and something like that. So I don't know. They were able to build a unique kit set without totally breaking the game. So for me, he's awesome. And any team you have that you want to make better, stick him in there. Even at gear, you know, 8 or 9 and above, he'll start to work. Yes, he's a little squishy, but the whole point of his kit still works even at those levels.
All right. Next question for good old Maurice, if he's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, welcome back.
All right. So question for good old Maurice from Darcia 1972. Question: what team should I use with clones if I don't have Shaak Ti completed?
Well, you could use. Let me see. Let me look at exactly what Fives' leadership reads. Use the Rex lead. You can use the Rex lead for turn meter, and then Fives also has a revamped one. I think Fives' leadership is going to be a PvE type leadership.
Okay, sec.
But if you do want to use that Fives lead, it will take a little bit of a different modding setup. You could use Cody. Cody's an option. I don't think Cody's going to be on the team permanently, but then again, I don't think Shaak Ti is either. So you could use Cody as a lead, and that will get a lot of those basics off from those characters. You got turn meter removal, you got potency up, you got turn meter gain, you got all sorts of benefits from the actual basics themselves. So you could use Cody, you could use a traditional clone team, and then that traditional clone team is much, much better now because it actually has a taunt, a reliable taunt that can protect Cody and Rex. Then you also have Fives and Zeta that can protect Cody and Rex as well. So I think Cody's probably going to be your best bet. If you don't have Cody, I would probably go with the Rex lead and just put in a fifth. Maybe use Ahsoka as the fifth, so you have 4 or 5 first, because the team's going to be very, very fast. Rex is unique, gives that 4% speed to the 5 first. So if you do use Ahsoka, your 4 clones, your 4 5 first are going to get a 16% speed increase, which is pretty significant, especially if you start stacking speed on Rex. You can put speed on, you can put speed on all of them. I mean, you could just make a blistering fast 5 if you really wanted to. I mean, that way, he's going to be constantly taunting. I wouldn't develop a lead right now, I guess, for the clones. I would work on Rex, Fives, and Echo and just kind of see what develops. If you don't have Cody, I don't think I'd pole vault him or, just jump him right to the top of your priority list. I think he can kind of sit and wait on him. Shaak Ti, if you're farming her, she's going to take you a lot of time. She's a single fleet node, so that's going to take you months to get her finished. So while you work on her, I do think something else will come about, whether it be General Anakin, whether it be some of the other characters we're seeing in the TB itself. Yeah, I'm not sure if that really even answered it, but.
Thank you, good old Maurice.
No problem, Ranger.
Waka, waka, waka.
So I think, Ranger just up and left. I didn't even see that. That's awesome. All right. But yeah, so.
You just went, I'm out of here.
You just went, peace out. So no, I think that answered it. I think the fact that we don't have all the clone stuff makes sense, and to kind of not be 100% sure on where exactly she's supposed to be. So, or what team we're going to put together. So that makes sense. Let's see. Next question for Miss Team Money G. Guzza Buzza asks, do you think they're converting more free-to-play players or losing more pay-to-play players?
I don't know. Quite honestly, I think that whenever I feel the urge to answer a question about the economics of the game, and more, or maybe you know more than I do because it sounds like you've read some materials of theirs, but I haven't seen anything that's really specific to this particular game. And what gave me pause is when Jedi Knight Revan came about for the first time. We talked about him being a very end game character, and so few people in the game had him, and then went and looked on all of our ticket alts or like new accounts, very small accounts, and realized, oh hey, you know what, these accounts are just full of Jedi Knight Revan, and who knows if there's just really great free-to-play players down in that are starting later or what, but they were just completely satiated, much more than my own shard, which was about a year after launch. So I think that it's really hard to understand when we don't have the data, kind of the state of the game. Whenever, whenever I speak to CG and kind of talk about my guild, we're in a position where where it's kind of it's quite high pressure. We've been facing the big guilds quite a bit, and so we do have some burnout. And I talked to them about it, and they're like, we're like the one of the most healthiest mobile games. We have a very low attrition rate, yada yada yada. And I say, can we see some data? And they're like, I don't know. So if we just take them at their word, then the game is in a healthy state. I think that certainly there's free to play players going to pay to play, but I know a lot of people in my guild are going free to play because it's just been a little bit too much, too fast, too high pressure, and just that feeling of the game when the game is controlling you versus you controlling the game is I think quite pervasive in the community right now. So I think that there are a lot of players around my GP that are, if not going completely free to play, kind of trying to be a little bit more careful and strategic with their characters. But as I said, the game I think is in flux, and I think that unless you see all of the variables, because I have obviously calling a guild that's 220 million GP a certain on the game. But when we look into those other shards, when we see those other, the new shards, it's very surprising to me when I've done that. The game looks very, very healthy when you look down there versus kind of some of these end game shards where it's like I didn't fall below 23 this week when I put in Hermit Yoda lead, Wat Tambor, C-3PO, my Gear 5 Jawa scavenger, and it was an Admiral Akbar lead. Yeah, I was trying to fall to practice versus Jedi Knight Revan, and I couldn't. No one would hit me. So yeah, so my shard is quiet. I know Gom's shard is more on the quiet side. So, but I don't think that the younger shards are like that.
All right, I have returned. That means
I didn't even see you left. I was kind of afraid that you just fell out of your chair.
No, I said AFK and then I had to go answer the door real quick. So
I didn't hear you say AFK. So.
Yes, I did.
You kind of said it as you were getting up with your headphones off.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was someone was pounding on the door. I'm like, God damn it. All right, so we're back up top and through the order we go. Warrior.
So this is kind of a fun, serious question for Warrior from Darth Nogiri, or Nagri. Darth Nagri says, question, what do you think about Cup in a Padme team as the 5th? It could be fun with the stuns.
No. Sadly, Cup, with all of his glory at Gear 13 and your God mods making him as fast as humanly possible, is still slower than the majority of other characters because he doesn't have a super fast kit, and his kit's not guaranteed. It's all percentage based. So 50% stun, yay! Okay, what else does he have? Nothing. Okay, so that's a problem. In this day and age with it, if he was put on a team and that team won, it would only be because they were dragging his lifeless carcass across the finish line and not because he was contributing to the team. Unfortunately, I love Cup more than anyone. I mean, he's law enforcement, right? And I'm law enforcement, so it's we brethren, right, bro? But no, he's lame. He uses a taser. That's it. He's bringing a taser to a gunfight. So until they give a little bit more bite to his kit, which I don't think they're going to. But see, this is the thing. This is the thing that I do love about CG is they do listen to the community, whether people believe them or not. They do, and 2 years ago, they tested the waters on C-3PO and said, we're going to, we could bring in C-3PO. And everyone laughed at it and said, no, that's stupid. That's retarded. And they were like, timing isn't right. So they held off. Well, then they put out Hermit Yoda and people were like, hey, this is cool that he doesn't attack, that he just assists the team. He's a pretty strong character. And they were cool with it because it was Yoda. It could have been any other character and they'd have been pissed, but because it was Yoda, he's old, they're like, oh, I see it. And then once we had a non-attacker in the game, then they brought in C-3PO and everyone embraced C-3PO. Oh, confusion, that's funny. Hey, haha, that's awesome. It was all about timing, and now they're going to bring in Jar Jar. It's happening, yo. It's going to happen. I don't care what anyone says, but it's funny because a year ago, people, they just laughed at that. But you see now, the Wat Tambor, the C-3POs, the Hermit Yodas of the game are awesome, And they don't even have to be awesome characters. They're awesome because they're great supports that don't need to attack. So we're going to get Jar Jar, and I'm hoping at some point they do somebody in the development team's listening, and they do a touch-up. It doesn't even have to be a complete rework. Just a touch-up of Cup, and give him a few extra tags, whatever, so that way he can be placed as a 5th in a bunch of different teams, and just give him like 100% stun that is that's non-resistible and non-evadable on his basic. And then his special, throws like offense up or something, and then just crank his damage numbers up a little and then call it good. And he's not going to be super overpowered. He's not going to be super amazing, but for anybody who has him, they'll be able to actually use him. And the truth is, it would probably take them, a week from start to finish with a couple of people on the side to do that touch-up. It's not a massive touch-up, and it would be one character. And that would be fun, and it would be a homage of everybody who's actually put time in, because there are people that have the Gear 13 Cup. I'm not one of them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next question for Gom.
All right. Question for good old Maurice from Zerial ANZGC. Says, for good old Maurice, where does Django fit in Grand Arena now, and where does that leave the Bounty Hunter defense team?
Ooh, well, I don't know the best, but I can outline what I'm doing. I don't know if that'll be helpful or not, but I run a 88 Grievous lead to counter Darth Revan. It's very, very consistent. The best team that I've run to do so. So that leaves me with 4 Separatists, Newt Gunray, and Dooku. I'm planning on running a Newt Gunray lead. Not quite sure the 3 Separatist droids, and then also Django. So that would be my 5th. It would be like Newt lead, Django, and then 3 Sep droids. You're talking that lead from Newt, 15% speed and 15% potency for every extorted enemy. You can have Django extra potent, extra fast, and he starts the battle with his damage immunity. So for 2 turns, you're not going to be able to do anything to him, which is pretty intense. He's very, he can burn the characters, quit them from getting turn meter, and just add more pop to that team. Because Newt with the 4 Geo or Separatist droids is great. It's just if you use it offensively, it's going to take you 4 minutes and 58 seconds to defeat the team. So Django could help out on a Newt lead. Django could help out on a Dooku lead as well. There's all sorts of stacking offense there from his damage immunity or his payout and the Dooku lead. So there's a lot of offense. There's a lot of ways you can use him with the Separatists. I think for the Bounty Hunters, you just go back to your Bosk lead. You want to make Bosk as fast as possible, and you're probably going to need Imbo to make the best Bounty Hunter team without Django. That's not a character I have. I'm going to have to use Cad Bane. So I'm going to run Bosk, and then I'm going to run Boba, Zam, Dengar, and Cad Bane. It's not a top shelf team, but that team will be plenty good enough to take out Karth, to take out some of the other maybe less modded teams that I come across. So, I'm not very good against Karth. I usually just use CLS. So I'll just keep my Bounty Hunters for offense to take out pretty much Karth, specifically for Karth. Maybe some weaker, very weak Night Sister teams. We'll see.
Could you use Newt lead that's not Zetaed? Like a non-Zeta Newt as leader?
Yeah, but the bulk... Maybe with Django now, maybe. The problem, if you split off Grievous for some other team, you're left with those 4 Sep droids, and they really, besides Droideka, don't have any offense whatsoever. Like you do more damage from the health-based Zeta Newt than you probably do actually physical damage. Maybe not, but it's very close. That physical damage or the health-based damage from Newt Zeta plays a key role in that team. We'll see. I don't know. This all just dropped on me. I mean, I've slotted in Django and made him a little bit faster. I've got him clocked right behind 88 now, so at least there's going to be one debuffed, hopefully, enemy. That's the problem I'm having with this Newt lead with Django is it's hard to find... It's hard to clock Django behind somebody that's going to debuff the whole team. The only option you really have is B2. So basically, you always have to set up your team to go second. That way the other team goes first, and B2 can pop all the buff immunities, then Django go. But it's tough. It's going to take some practice. It's going to take some experimentation. I'm looking forward to it, though. That was a pretty cool surprise they dropped on us. So that'll help you guys out in TB, too, Django. So.
All right. Next question to our Captain T.
All right. So kind of a question that ties into that one. So from Scorp 30, question is, where does Django fit into the Separatists? So do you have any other ideas from what Goro Maurice just said, Team Money? Otherwise, I can give you another question.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit before. I think I've done the same 88 team that Goro Maurice did. He helped me to kind of perfect it on a stream the other day, and it is extremely reliable now. So, but it's also very limiting. We're facing some guilds right now, and they're probably not going to set Darth Revan. So now I've got this, 88 Grievous kind of menage in my pocket that I'm not completely sure what to do with. So I think that Django as a fifth, even on offense, under Grievous, could be, very, very, very powerful, and might be my go-to as a Jedi Knight Revan killer if that's what comes up on my Grand Arena board versus seeing Darth Revan there, which I have a feeling that's going to happen more and more lately. A lot of Darth Revan teams, now that we're very familiar with it, people are holding and one-shotting. So I like to have both a Jedi Knight Revan and a Darth Revan counter in my pocket and some backups because I like to set those guys. So I think that we're going to experiment Django under everything, but Django under Grievous when only 100 and Django are exposed at the beginning, and you have all of this additional offense, and we're pretty sure, I'm not 100%, but probably Django dying and coming back to life is going to trigger Grievous. So that's kind of one additional Grievous freak out on the team. And as you know, facing these guys, you can't really take too many of those before it gets unbearable. So you have another damage dealer on that team, which is exciting, because usually you can just go for Grievous, mark him or whatever, and control the rest of the guys and kind of breathe a sigh of relief when Grievous goes down. But now, who are you going to kill? Are you going to kill Django? Or are you going to kill Grievous first? I think I had an extra character in there. You can't actually have all the three droids, can you? Grievous with three droids, Django. Yeah, he would replace Droideka.
All right. Next question for Warrior.
All right. So question warrior from Ouchie Dumpling, and she asked, what would be the best ways to incorporate clone coolness into a Padme team? It seems that most of their cool tricks may apply only to clones.
Integrate them into the Padme lead. I don't really see that as, this is the deal. They're trying to make things faction-centric, so that way we have these different teams. Not only does it force us to taste different teams and characters we haven't otherwise previously developed, so it helps them, because people are going to fast farm and spend money to get these characters up to speed. But they baked in the synergy really, really heavily with the 501st. They baked in really heavily the synergy with Anakin, Ahsoka, General Kenobi, and Padme. So I don't really see the interconnectivity as being something that you'd want to do, because you'd be disabling key baked-in features that really make them pop. That's kind of the whole point of having those together. They're basically incentivizing us to keep these faction-centric, which is good, and I'm happy about it, because every time they do one of these, they make a team that's like a really high-end B-level team or really low-end A-level team. So it's like almost a top 5 type team kind of thing. Like, for example, the bugs were the same way. The bugs, work in separatist teams and stuff, but having all 5 Geos together it's just mad. It's crazy. It's like watching the guys in 300 take on the Persians. You know what I mean? Like, it's
pretty
awesome.
much, man.
So, yeah, it is awesome, but you wouldn't really want to separate them out a whole lot and divvy them up, because their synergy is in the hive mind. So I like it because they're encouraging us now to kind of go faction based. Back to my old Magic the Gathering days, I mostly preferred the teams where we were creature centric, where like if I had an elf team, I had an elf, build, or I would do, like a beast build, or I would do a whatever. And if you're not magic, don't worry about it. But I liked the creature-centric teams. I wasn't a huge fan of people that had to like do everything in manipulation and find weird, infinite loop type things with the cards. That's what kind of killed it. And so I feel like the game was going down the route of Magic, where they were making everything more complex and more complex and more complex. And only recently, I feel like, have they returned to the roots of simplicity of let's give some uniqueness to the team, but let's not overcomplicate it. Like, courage is cool. They're converting protection to something that gives them additional damage, but it's not overly complex, and it's unique to that team. Hive Mind, it's not overly complex. It's basically they've all got it, and it activates, on each of them an ability kind of thing. So it's kind of back. It harkens back to the day when they did the Phoenix. The Phoenix was like the first team that they built in the game that had that kind of unique synergy where they all shared their unique. That was really cool. And so I'm happy that they've kind of gone back to that and made these factions, like I said, really high-end B-level teams or kind of low-end A-level teams. So I don't think you really would want to, intermingle, because you're gonna kill the efficiency of the teams that you're trying to build.
All right, back to Gum.
All right, good old Maurice. Question from Joao Cavalcanti, and the question is it worth it to spend Zetas to meet the GP requirements for events and special missions? I have 4.55 million GP, and I find Zetas easier to gather than stun guns and Carbantes, so I add Zetas instead of additional gear.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of players that would love to have that Juwani Zeta back right now, but you gotta do what you gotta do. If you really want that character, and that's the only way that you're gonna meet the threshold, then you've got to either put the Zeta on or wait. I mean, we saw how long it took Malik. I mean, the people without Malik were really struggling in Arena for a long time. So, I guess it depends. If you have, it sounds like you've got Zetas, you got a Zeta tree in the backyard, which is something I don't have. But, I mean, if you've got Zetas to spare, if you're willing to put them on characters that ahead of time that doing it simply for the event, then, I mean, I don't know. I would go the gear route, but they don't give you time to do the gear route. So I mean, Zetas are a way to kind of sneak in there without maybe having the best gear on your characters. I would love to. Some people put the Zeta on Candrass, some people put the Zeta on Juwani, some people have the Zetas on T3, and they're not using these characters now, but they do have Malik. So I guess you could make a case where you paid a Zeta or two for the next best thing. I don't really know if that's a good deal or not. I don't know. I've never really thought about it like that. But do what you got to do, I guess.
All right. Next we go to TMG.
All right. So for Team Money, question from Guzza Buzza, and the question is Nest worth a Gear 13?
I don't have her yet. But, as long as you have your arena team done, I think she's valid Gear 13 anytime after that. Well, I should say your arena team done and any meta counters that you need to have working, because to my knowledge, she isn't really a part of that right now. She's not a counter to Darth Revan. She can still be a counter to Jedi Knight Revan, but people are taking him down different ways now. But I think that, she's definitely, as long as you have your arena team done and you're getting up in arena and you have your meta counters complete and feeling really good and safe, at least, Padme's a 2-shot. Unfortunately, that's her to some extent, unless you're going to go, full Gear 13 and have really nice mods, then yeah, for sure. She's great. She's scary to face. And she's let me tell you, with Wat Tambor, like a lot of the Wat Tambor teams are guild unlocked Wat, and has been using the last couple of TWs. And a lot of these teams, it's all about protecting Nest with a permataunt and just having her go for it. And with that extra damage boost that she gets, she's absolutely on my list to do. Probably going to do Telzin first, and then her.
All right.
Oh, I wanted to say, Mr.
Yes.
Warrior Did you get 100 Zetas this past week? It was very.
Yeah, it was sometime in the last 7 days, I believe.
Congratulations. Do you have the most in the entire game?
Yes.
That's awesome. I was like, because I saw that and I was like, does anybody else have more? And none of the big players in your guild do. So congratulations. That means that you probably had fleet from the very first day. You've been first in fleet, hey, since like day one.
Yes, I've loved fleets, and I was number one on day one, and I made sure I was number one on day one. And anytime they brought anything out where Zetas were a part of the action, I always said, okay, fine. So like when Mother Talzin first came out and they made an event for her for those Zetas, I wailed on her that day to make sure I could get Zetas the first time they were available in that event. Some people missed that event the first time and they wailed out the second or third time. I didn't. I luckily got those for them. Wicket, same thing, bought them immediately, so 7 stars so I could get those Zetas because I realized Zetas would be important in the game. I've never missed a day for farming Zetas. And the other thing, which is obviously I'm lucky on, is I've been in Team Instinct, the #1 Team Instinct guild since the beginning. And so they've gotten, back in the day, so now a lot of people get 3 Zetas on a win. But we went, for territory war, we went undefeated for almost forever. I mean, we've only lost a couple times now, and it was just recently that we've had losses. So we've pretty much always gotten the max 3 Zetas. So being with them, I was blessed that I was able to ride along and participate and get the max Zetas for pretty much the entire time of Territory Wars existed. And if you go back to the beginning of Territory Wars, a lot of teams would get 2 for the victory, not 3, because they were a lower GP. It's only recently that people are getting into higher GPs and getting more Zetas, because if we remember, 150 million used to be like, that was like where we were at. When light side territory battles came out, we were at 146 or 147 million as a guild. We're double that now, but back then that was kind of the high end. So the rewards, there was a lot of teams that were only getting, even if they won, they were only getting 2. We've been getting 3 since that inception. So been blessed to be with them and get those extra Zetas. The only time I've ever been truly skunked was the double drops they did recently, where they said, everyone's got a chance to get like 20. I got 3 days, 2 attempts each day, and I got nothing, not one. And the guy, his name's Pez, P-E-Z, in Team Instinct. During that time frame, he got a bunch, and he almost caught up to me. He was like 98, and I was at 100. Like, he almost caught up to me during that time frame. He got
we were complaining about that in CG chat, and I was bitching about it, but I see now that I have not made that effort. I'm like, I didn't get to the top of ships. I've been like lazy. I still have a good number of Zetas, but yeah, I'm sure that meant even more to you. I realize that now. Wow.
It's pretty cool because, while people can say, well, yeah, you bought your way to the top, to an extent, they're kind of right in that sense, but Zetas are kind of unique. You can't just go buy a pack of 10 Zetas with money. You have to be in one of the top guilds. You've got to be active in ships. You've got to be #1 in ships. You've got to have the right characters, the right tunes, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, money helped me for sure, but there are a lot of people that spent a lot more money than me that I beat. So it is an exclusive club in the sense that there are the spenders. It was going to be a spender who hit it first, but of the spenders, there are people that have spent 6 figures in this game, and I have not. And I beat them to that little thing. So it kind of felt good just to know that the dedication to ships paid off ultimately. And I'm at that point where now I pick Zetas that aren't necessary. I go back in time and start picking silly Zetas, that I think are going to be kind of fun. Like, for example, Zam Wessel, I put her Zeta on.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
It's a good Zeta, though. I'd love to put hers on.
All right.
Exactly, it is.
Congratulations to Warrior on 100 Zetas, and congratulations to Team Money for continuing to stock Warrior's SWGOH account.
Yes.
I don't know where I saw it. I saw it on like the forums or something like that, or maybe on your
Sure,
channel.
It was the forums.
Yeah.
It was the forums, folks. Let me just.
All right. So I think that was the question to Team Money, right?
Yeah,
so
we're back up to war. Yep.
So Warrior. Oh, it's a fleet question for you. Question from Darth Nagri, and the question is: any hope for a Y-wing, B-wing, A-wing, Rebel ship, or any other Empire ships coming soon?
Oh, I would love to say that all of that's coming in. Like I said, I know I'm kind of weird, but once they announced ships, I was like so excited. I had actually gotten a trip to Capital Games and went and talked to them in person and got to see their original intent and design. And before they released them, they had the 3-ship design, and they ended up releasing them the 5-ship design, which they regretted and have later come back to the 3-ship design. But when they were in the original design phase and stuff, I went and visited and looked at it all. And they're the heart of the people who are like focused on ships, the developers that kind of have that. The problem is there's not a lot of them in comparison to the other things, and they get pulled off to do a lot of other things, especially non-essential stuff. Like if there ends up being a bug, they get kind of pulled to do whatever. And so while there's a few people that really enjoy the ships and ships aspect of it, it's not enough of a focus for them to develop. And so unfortunately, there's not enough people that enjoy that aspect of it there in the development team for them to do too much of it. So I'm saddened because they don't put enough energy or effort into that aspect. And I think ships could have been something great. I think it could have been something that literally rivaled the character component, and should, because there was so much potential there. And I get that Anakin's amazing, but his ETA-2 Starfighter is simply amazing as well. And to see it just kind of not really getting used by anybody just makes me sad, because there's just not enough. There's not any ship raids. There's not any ship PvE content really, other than a couple of hard nodes. That is, once you have certain ships, it's not difficult anymore. So I don't know. I'd love to say that all those ships are coming in, but the truth is they've been really, really bad about bringing ships in since the inception, and I don't see it changing rapidly. I don't see them adding a bunch of ships. I think we're going to get a couple more capital ships for the sake of like the Geo TBs, light and dark side, and I think we're going to get our sprinkling of 1 or 2 additional ships per light and dark side down the road. But the focus has never been there, and I don't see that changing.
All right. Back to GOM.
All right. So, Guru Marie's question from Klebo. Question is, what is the best bounty hunter lineup with Nest? Is there a team without Django or Embo?
I guess the Django lead with Nest is effective. I guess if you don't have Django, you could just run Bosk, Boba, Zam, Dengar, Nest. I guess you could do that. Probably want a tenacity build Nest for that one, probably more than likely. I know I run Django, Zam, Boba, Dengar, Nest on occasion. I've broken that up now. It's just kind of everyone with one shot. I mean, it's just all you do is just you absorb the opponent's Ray. Ray just comes in and beats it anyway with Finn now. So, if you do place it, it's not going to get you a lot of holds, but it will drain a meta offensive team. So I guess there's some value in that. If you stick it right in the front, maybe put another team right behind it, a fast team right behind it in the back zone. That might be effective for you. We'll see though. Now Django is a separatist. I think it's going to switch up a lot of stuff. So we're gonna. Those are the teams I've personally ran myself. Besides those, I'm not really sure.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's hard without Django. It's
pretty much
the speed bonus is really what makes Nest awesome.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
If you don't have Django, I would definitely put Nest. I would probably put Nest somewhere else.
All right. So we have one more question, then we'll jump into the Around the Corn and fun question. So question for you, T-Money, from Zerial ANZGC. Has anyone decided if Wat Tambor is any good? Is he really the plug-and-play character that we need?
Yes. He's so good. He is so much fun. It's we like I said, we unlocked this last war. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to see where a lot of the big guilds put their Wats. It was just kind of starting to unlock there. But Wat Tambor with General Grievous, Wat Tambor with his perpetual buff on L3. I mean, mwah. Gom has a Gear 13 L3, and she's like right at the top of my list to do because Wat is so amazing. It's hard to test, right? But I took her into the like late mod battles and just hit auto, and those guys couldn't take off like more than 3 or 4% of her protection before she just got it right back. There's so much you can do. You know, Bosk perpetual taunt. Think of any taunter who you're kind of trying to manage a team around. How do you beat Bosk that starts with taunt without, you know, CLS or JKR or Treya? You know, like how do you beat that team? So basically, Wat turns any kind of run-of-the-mill team into something that you need to have, you know, fracture or something, you know, extremely powerful to manage it. So yeah, it's very exciting. He's a very exciting character. I'm breathless right now. Yes, Wat is awesome. Even, you know, I think a lot of people are using him on offense too right now. So if you're facing him in Grand Arena, you may or may not get to see what teams people are using, just because he's very squishy. And say you put him on a Grievous team, well, you can go ahead and target him and get him out of the way so that at least he can't resurrect, you know, IG 100. You use 100. He's putting the permataunt on 100. You finally kill 100 because you can't get around him, and then Wat just reses him back up again. So, you know, and then you can put the piece back on him Wat's next turn, and off you go. So he's tricky. He's a tricky little character, and very, very fun. Very fun. Very plug and play. Is he Nest? Is he Thrawn? I think so. Yeah. I think that he's going to be absolutely cornerstone, better than Wampa, you know, probably better than Hermit Yoda as a plug and play.
All right. We got 230 watching, 70 thumbs up. Can we get to 100? I don't know, Finn. Do you think we can do it?
If people put in the effort.
That's right, science. All right, now let's get to around the corn and fun questions, and we'll allow these wonderful people to pimp their stuff.
So some questions for the panel as a whole. First one from Hogzilla. What fun things do your guilds do in order to spice things up? Do you guys do anything with territory wars or territory battles right now?
Spice things up.
I mean, you know, our relationship, Team Money and TW, hasn't been what it should be. Any creative ideas on what we can do?
I think my guild's at a point. My guild is kind of at a point where it's just it's nice to keep things smooth and consistent, right? And the new content of Geo TB hasn't really changed that. We were able to come up with a strategy and keep it consistent for everyone. I think for my guild that works, but every guild is a little bit different. So I don't know if anyone else does anything different, but it's consistent.
No scented candles or.
Well, not for the guild as a whole.
Spice it up.
Go around question then?
Yeah, this is for around the panel. So just anyone.
Any spiciness there, Team Money?
Well, we usually gather around and have meatballs.
Why?
Why, GOM?
So now the chat has been brought onto the stream. We're not going any.
We're not going any further with that.
No.
Okay. We're not even.
I think for us, there's so much theory crafting going on right now. It's crazy exciting. You just kind of have to manage it and be careful not to burn out. I was at the end of my rope yesterday. I was like, can we just set defense, please, guys? Because there's so many ideas flowing that, but it's so exciting to watch. You know, it's like these great minds of the game figure stuff out. It's, you know, that's what gets us going. Is it gets frustrating when there's just when it's too challenging and there's not that ability for us to experiment, which there has been.
You heard it here first. To keep it spicy, you do experimentation.
Experiment, yeah.
There you go.
Things you wouldn't normally do.
Spearmint is a great flavor.
Bring in characters you wouldn't, you know.
God.
So, question from Paparazzi. Around the corn, what is your guild thinking about using clones for the next TW?
We're not. Yet.
I think I mean, depending on the speed of your Rex, I'm considering putting clones on. Well, my clones aren't quite ready, but for those that have clones ready, I'm going to look at their speed on their Rex to see whether or not we maybe want to try it on defense to see how it holds. I was actually kind of thinking the other way of what Warrior was saying earlier. You know, because in Warrior, you had said that potentially like a slow Rex, right? I was actually thinking a fast Rex, because then he can use his special, give turn meter. And once he gives turn meter, if you attack anybody with counterattack, the Rex lead, if you use the Rex lead, is actually going to give everyone turn meter. And Rex might be able to go right after all the other clones and do his special right afterwards. That was kind of what my thinking was potentially. So... But I'm going to look to see if anyone has like a slow or a fast Rex to see how it all times out.
Well, the Rex Zeta is going to knock down his cooldown by 1 turn too. You know, just by simply him going.
No,
so that's...
it won't.
No.
It's other. It's distinct.
No,
it
okay.
doesn't work. Yeah.
So other is everyone but him, and there's only 2 others that are. Yeah. So just to clarify.
All right.
All right. Next question from Darsan 1972. How do you feel about the new Relic pieces? How important is it going to be to get these pieces on my arena team as soon as possible? We can start with Warrior. We'll just go through these quickly. What are your thoughts on the new Relic pieces?
We talked about this.
Yeah, we
earlier
did.
Stream. These are going to be necessary but sucky.
Yeah.
It's Gear 14, and 15, and Gear 16, and Gear 17, and Gear 18, and Gear 19, and Gear 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 20.
Maurice, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially just starting your character over. Congratulations on Gear 13. You basically go back to starting at Gear level 1. It'll be, I think it'll be easy to do for the first few weeks, but then when you start running out of those MK4 stun guns, all the challenge crap, it's going to be tough. You're just going to have to farm. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I guess, let's say you put a white piece in it, it gives you so much XP, green, blue, purple, gold, so on and so forth, and you just rank it up with just everything. That's the way a lot of the other games I play are. You just dump stuff into things to level it up, and it's going to be real tough come about 6-7 weeks in when everybody's gone like out of leftover gear. So they've answered a complaint. What do we do with all this extra gear? Can we do a gear trading system? This is probably how they're going to solve that issue, and at the same time, force you to further enhance your characters. I don't know. I don't know what the stats are on these things yet. So
I feel like my mom has made my lunch for me and called them broccoli trees. It's still broccoli. It's the same bloody thing. It's still gear. It's just, gear trees.
It's a foot sandwich.
It's a foot sandwich, exactly. What did Nick Ross say? It's a different skin, but it's the same thing. It's still gear. It's still the same thing. They just made it cute. I mean, fine, right? When you think about it, when they opened up Gear 12, immediately we had those 3 left side pieces that we could start working on, and opening up Gear 13, we didn't have anything. So, it's very natural that there is something immediately for us to work on past Gear 13. And this is it. A thought I had, I'm going to throw this out there to people, is to start, I don't know, I'm sorry if this is incorrect, but to maybe start buying some of that gear for the coins in, or maybe I'll ask you guys this. Do you think that's potential? Like we could buy some of the gear with the gear that you can buy with coins in the store, and that you could use that?
Coins?
I've been doing that since the
beginning. About credits?
You have been doing that, with credits.
Yeah, I always
buy everything with credits every time. And it's just stupid. You get like 8,000 of this, but eventually it's going to be utilized somewhere. So, but the problem is all that stuff is all like Mark 4 and below. There's almost never anything good in there. So that stuff will be great to take characters' relics to like level 4, and the relic will go to like level 13 or something stupid. You know what I mean? So even if you have a bunch of that, it's only going to help you get some of your obscure characters a relic that's level 4 versus not having everybody with the relics. But I don't know. I think that we're going to end up dropping stun guns to get to like level 8 of your relic. You know what I mean? Like this is going to
probably. Yeah. I mentioned it on this stream too. I'm looking forward to relics because the one thing that I'm thinking this may solve in terms of a problem is as soon as you hit Gear 13, if that unlocks a level or like a level 1 or Gear 1, whatever you want to call it, relic, the level 1 relic can have a GP associated with it, which can help differentiate where you are with Gear 12 versus Gear 13. So I think that could be one of the things that could help that relics could actually help. Which as soon as you unlock Gear 13, you get extra GP because you've now unlocked this level 1 relic automatically. So that might help with Grand Arena Championships, which is what I'm hoping for a little bit. So,
all right.
So we'll see with that. Then Deadpool Kyle question: if you were to grade the clones, how would you grade the reworked clones?
A.
Okay, A from Ranger Warrior.
Yeah, I'd say it's in line with all the recent reworks.
Okay, good old Maurice.
Yeah, right there on par with Grievous.
All right, T Money.
Sure, I'll go. I'll second those motions.
Yep, I'm the same. I'm glad they didn't nerf Rex. Nerf Rex would have kind of changed everything. All right, fun questions time. Paparazzi for T Money. What do they do? What do they do up there in Canada?
Yeah, what do you do up there, eh?
Well, we've been talking a lot about that in chat this morning.
Oh God.
Nodding and agreeing.
No.
Well, today I have in 5 minutes, I have to go right away. I have an interview for that lovely little doggy that is on my profile pic right now. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for a month for her to try out a couple other homes, and God, I hope she's mine. I'm so excited.
I wish you all the luck, Team Money.
Please.
God, the adoption process is way different in Canada than it is here for
I know.
a dog.
Well, this is the kind of, I don't know, this is like the hippie shelter. They don't actually put dogs in cage, everybody's fostered and everything, and she's a little special needs dog. She has got some separation anxiety, so.
No.
She's adorable.
I've always wanted a little, what is she? Terrier? Forget their name right now. Whatever type she is, I've always wanted one, and I've hardly ever seen them in rescues, so.
If she smells like mustard, are you still going to take her?
Yep, absolutely. Cool. I didn't hear what she said, but the answer is yes.
All right. So next question on the similar line from Paparazzi for good old Maurice. What do they do up there in Carolinas?
Well, there is no up here.
Don't say
It's pretty much
that.
down.
What do you do down there in Carolina, there, Gomer?
Well, we play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Right.
I lock myself in this back room of my house with this high-end green screen that I have and videos.
I've seen it. It's freaking fancy.
Yeah. Construction paper at its finest. Well, come Saturdays are a big day here in the fall. Everything shuts down. Especially, I'm not a Clemson fan, but I live very, very close to Clemson University. So Saturdays, it's a ghost town. Everybody's watching football, tailgating. College football is very, 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 very big where I live. So fall's an exciting time.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What else? 73 for Warrior. Question: is your Cup Gear 13 yet? Since he's a cop and all.
No, Gear 13 is too valuable at this time. He is Gear 12, but no Gear 13. And until I see my rework, that probably won't happen until he'll be the bottom 5 characters until they rework him. Like I said, touch up. That's all we need to do. Just a small touch up, and then I'll be happy to do that.
What else? 73 has some interesting questions. So he has another question for you, Warrior.
Can I sneak out really quick?
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you. Nice hearing your voices, Warrior, and talk to you.
I'll do a terrible job pimping our stuff. Don't you worry.
I know.
That's right.
All right. So what else? 73 has another question for you, Warrior. In what week of your SEAL training was Warrior required to cut off someone's foot and feed it to them? I don't recall that being in the Discovery documentary.
There's a lot they don't teach you.
Yeah,
show you.
so we don't do that. That's the funny thing. There's this huge misconception. Part of it was because of a stupid movie that was made the exact same time I was in there, back in 96, 97. Demi Moore made a movie about Navy SEALs, and she came and visited the base. She went to our Bud's compound, and she toured the base, and she gave us tickets to go see her movie for free and all that. If you've ever seen a movie where there was like a huge group of people not shutting the hell up and talking through the whole movie, that was us. We totally tore that movie apart. But in the movie, one of the things they did was they had these SEAL trainees eating out of trash cans and no time to eat, and it was hysterical because the one thing they don't mess around with is diet. Though it's one thing we did 4 meals a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and mid-rats. Mid-rats is midnight rations, which means you eat in the middle of the night. And we did 2,000 calories a meal minimum. In fact, there was someone that would watch your tray And if you didn't grab enough food on the meal, they would actually make you go back and grab stuff. And they'd make suggestions. They were dietary specialists. They'd say, you know, you need to go back, grab 2 bananas and a piece of bread, and you'll be there. And you're like, okay. So you go back and grab what you needed. And then they gave us a frickin' hour to eat. And that was actually, I'll tell you, that was actually the hardest part about Bud's training for most of the trainees, was because we'd be outside in evolutions getting our butt handed to us, you know, swimming 2 miles, doing surf passage, just all this other crazy crap. And then we'd go into a nice warm room, have an hour to eat all this crazy food. Our bellies were full. And then they're like, all right, we get to go back outside and torture you some more. And that's when people would be like, okay, I'm done. You know, I'm good. I just want to stay here. Can I please just stay here with my food? So yeah, it was funny because that movie totally misrepresented us and food. That's one thing they don't mess with is diet. You get plenty of time to eat and lots of stuff. You don't need foot sandwiches, which is why I'm against it. Which is why this company should not be feeding me my own foot sandwich.
All right. All right. Next question from Smoke 311. So it's more of a comment for you guys, so I just want to say it. So he says, can I thank you guys on the panel for being open-minded and not always spewing snarky, complaining, CG hate, game sucks mentality like some other YouTubers? Why do they always play the game if they hate it so much? So I think our panel is awesome because we do have a bunch of different opinions. Not everyone is from the same position. As you saw, T-Money called a 220 guild a little guild. I mean, we all come from different positions and stuff, and that's what we get all the different opinions for. So I'm glad you enjoy Jedi Academy, Smoke. Infinity Gamer question, what did you guys think of the Mandalorian trailer? I think we briefly talked about it, but were you guys fans of the trailer as you watched it? And start with Warrior.
Yeah, I'm a super fan. I shared it on my Facebook page. I'm beyond stoked. It feels like it's going to be the first thing that Disney will get to touch that they're going to just kill, and not in a bad way, but in a good way. Like they're going to kill it. I think because there is no story, they get to create the story. They're going to do just fine. I think it's when they have a established story that they like to just kind of, put it in a fire and watch it burn. But I think for this, because there is no established storyline, it's going to be a CG Marvel, and it's going to have a unique story, and I think they're going to do some good stuff with it. Watching the trailer makes me more excited about Star Wars than I've been in 20 years.
Good on Maurice.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, and for the exact same thing that Warrior just mentioned, the story will be interesting.
Yeah. All right. And with that, Epic Fails asks, will we get a Mandalorian tag around the show or just more bounty hunters?
Who knows?
Yeah, we have some Mandalorians in the game, so it'll be interesting to see if they add that as an actual tag.
I don't know how that. Yeah.
We don't know how soon we're even going to get anything, right? Because they have Star Wars. We have nothing from Star Wars Resistance.
Yeah, and that show's dead. I mean,
yeah.
So.
It hasn't. It didn't
and that's something I brought up. Is if the show's successful and popular, then they'll do characters. If it's not, They're not putting stuff out.
So we're probably not going to see Mandalorian stuff for a little while.
Yeah, if it gets really popular, and everything, then yeah, you'll eventually start seeing characters.
What do we got? Boba, we got Django, we got Ordo. Are there any other Mandalorians in the game? Gar Saxon.
Sabine, right?
Yeah, Sabine's like Mandalorian.
Okay, so is Gar Saxon's Mandalorian too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's some really terrible synergy there already. I mean, all we need is one or two more characters.
Well, we need somebody with a Mandalorian synergy itself, right? They're just Mandalorians right now, but there's nothing for like the Mandalorian tag to synergize them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you throw them all on a team, that's pretty much just asking for trouble.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's see. Azriel ANZGC. Question, who is your secret Gear 13 just because I want to character? Mine's not a secret. Mine's Jedi Consular. Warrior, any secret Gear 13 that you just because you wanted to?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple that I took up to Gear 13 that I wanted to, but, I don't know. I don't have a huge list of like honeydews. I did most of them that I felt like were necessary. I kind of wanted to be a team contributor.
Good on Maurice?
I guess mine would probably be Masked Kylo. Masked Kylo or Colonel Stark. Those two are kind of out there, but I like those two very, very much. So,
all right, and I think that's it. There are some other questions, but we're a little over right now, so we can start wrapping it up.
Let's wrap it up, and this is where we allow everyone to pimp their stuff. So we'll start with you, Warrior. Where can folks check you out at, and what do you got? What are you working on right now?
Well, they can check me out on YouTube or Twitter. I do a lot of like daily updates on Twitter, so if they want to see kind of what's going on and all that, Twitter's a really great place to kind of see what's happening. I personally am doing one live stream a week right now, and the next 4 weeks of my life is going to be, well, we're going to have about 4 people worth of stuff that is done by me alone. So it's going to be crazy. I don't want to commit to more than the one live stream a week, and I'll even go dark for almost 2 weeks. At the end, I'll be in the Brazilian rainforest at the end of the month, and I've got a bunch of other things. I've got just too many irons in the fire. It came up out of nowhere, and it all just kind of turned perfectly. I've got a closing on a house. I've got to move the rest of my stuff out of the house. I've got my VA disability claim reopened, and I've got a bunch of appointments for that. I'm teaching a marriage ministry course throughout. I'm also having to write a course for the retreat that's coming up in 2 months that has to be submitted within the next couple of weeks. I'm in the biggest sale of the year. There's just a whole bunch. I got about 10 different irons in the fire right now. So, yeah, the fact that I'm here this morning is it makes me happy that I was able to participate this morning.
And we always appreciate it. So.
Absolutely, my friend. Good old Maurice, man, you're a busy little man there, brother. You got 2 shows you got to pimp.
Yeah, well, you heard my partner in crime, T-Money, had to leave to go pick up a beast, but the 2 of us make Operation Metaverse YouTube channel, where we do a weekly live stream on Tuesday, and we do the occasional video or 2. Also, on the Ramon Azab channel, Sunday nights, Ranger joins us. Avinash joins us. We do the Alliance live show every Sunday around 11 p.m. It's a good time. It's slowly turned into the Ramon Heckle Fest. It's getting pretty entertaining. I think we finally have convinced Ramon to sit down and remod his roster after weeks of heckling. So we'll see what he's come up with.
We'll see if he remods. Well, I mean, on Thursday he hadn't done it because Miss didn't believe me on the Miss show about remods mods. We were like, don't look. He's like, I just can't be that bad. And then he started looking. He's like, no.
Yes, I'll have to go back and watch that one. Yeah,
he was dying it started at the end of the stream where he was like, no, come on. He's like, wait, what?
Why does he have a 2-dot mod?
We're getting there. Baby steps. Yes, he's in my guild now, so
yes,
yeah, you gotta step it up.
I know.
Step it up.
Yes, and then for us, if you're watching this in the Jedi Academy. Do me a favor, folks. These guys, these content creators that come here every Saturday, all their links. Some are here now, some are not. But do me a favor, check out their stuff. Support them, subscribe to their channels. Find the ones that you like. Everybody's got different tastes. I'm not saying you have to subscribe and like every video and subscribe to every channel, but find the ones that you like. Support these guys. They come here on their own time, on their own dime, to answer your questions about the game to help your life be easier playing the game and get you the information that you need. So show some love for these guys. Warrior, Operation Metaverse. I mean, the list goes down. It's all in the Discord. Or not the Discord, but in the... information in the YouTube information description. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. So make sure you guys support these guys. Check out their stuff. It really does mean a lot. Do the same thing for us. If you like the stuff, comment, like, subscribe. That's always very important with monetization for anybody that does content on YouTube, to get that feedback, to get that support, so that their videos get out, more people get to see it, and it keeps people streaming. So if you like the content that you've seen, you want to support it and keep it going on, that's how you keep it going. So with that, anything we need to pimp Finn? Finn disappeared, and Finn's gone. And he's gone. His place is a stupid ass pork. Oh my gosh. So I don't really want to pimp anything for Finn. So we do this every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So appreciate everybody coming out on your Saturday. Had a lot of great people out today. Shout out to the chat and all you guys, especially the skiers out there. Thank you very much for joining us. With that, we're going to sign off. We will be doing a thing with the VIPs at 4. The purple VIPs will be answering questions for our Patreons and VIPs, and then tonight I'll try to get a mini roster review, and we also have Pictionary, and then we'll do D&D tomorrow. So on behalf of myself and the panel, thank you guys so much for being here with us this morning, and wherever you are, whether you watch us later on, thank you for your support. And with that,